You're listening to Making Money Online with Lisa Johnson, the podcast that tells you what it really takes to build a business and the simple steps to get you there. I'm determined to share with you the reality of easy, simple business marketing tips to make passive income so that you can start making money online. This episode is sponsored by Samantha Labanzu, who is a multi-award-winning diversity and inclusion strategist and coach, and my really good friend and client. Are you ready to take your LinkedIn game to the next level? Well, get ready to join the waitlist for Samantha's highly anticipated book on profitable and inclusive strategies for LinkedIn success, out on May the 1st. This book is packed with insights, tips, and actionable advice that will elevate your professional and business presence on the world's premier professional networking platform. But wait, there's more. When you join the waitlist and grab your copy of the book, you'll also receive access to her hugely popular LinkedIn Mastery Masterclass, valued at over £547 for only £47. That's right, a comprehensive guide to mastering the art of LinkedIn, only £47 with your book purchase. Unlock the secrets to building a profitable and inclusive LinkedIn presence. Join the waitlist now and be among the first to access this invaluable resource. Don't miss out on the opportunity to supercharge your LinkedIn journey. Visit the link now in the show notes to join the waitlist today. Elevate your LinkedIn game, make meaningful connections, and achieve new heights of profitable and inclusive success with Samantha Labanzu's upcoming book. Hello and welcome to this week's podcast. This week, I'm bringing you a topic that lots of you have asked for. We're going to talk about diversity and inclusion, but I'm going to ask the questions that no one else asks because they're scared. And I want to know some of these things. And so I've brought somebody on that I know is very accepting of me asking questions. And that is the brilliant Elaine Hughes. Elaine is a diversity and inclusion specialist. And she's going to be able to answer our questions. So welcome to the podcast, Elaine. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. It's actually disability and diversity.
What did I say? Diversity, see? Getting it already. Disability and inclusion specialist consultant. I'm mainly working in retail and hospitality, but obviously you have a lot of knowledge, which is why I wanted to bring you on. So first of all, tell us how you got into this work in the first place.
Okay, so I used to work for DWP many years ago, and then I got into my own shop, and then I used to make cakes for a living, and that took me into the hospitality sector to go in and talk to the hotels and receptions and event places about inclusion, and it just kind of expanded from there, really.
Amazing. And what kind of made you at one point go, this is what I need to specialize in?
I think for me, as someone being born with a physical disability, I just felt that there was a lack of knowledge around it. There's a massive stigma around disability anyway. I just thought there was not enough places who were actually realising how diversity is actually, profitable and can be done in such a way that actually helps businesses, to expand and grow.
Yeah, I think that's so true. And you've obviously experienced both the kind of stigma around disability, the stigma around race. And so you are perfectly placed to talk about this subject. I want to get into this subject. First of all, the question that I want to ask is how we can ask these questions and not be scared of getting it wrong. I have been in positions, especially, I've got a big profile, I'm on the internet, where I have questions. I want to ask why certain things and what we should say and what are the right terms and all of those kind of things. But I've been in a situation before where I haven't dared because I've seen other people ask questions and get shot down and almost cancelled for asking the questions. And that really scares people to just, get more aware on what we need to be saying, what we need to be doing. What's your answer to that? Like, how can we ask in a way that doesn't annoy everyone?
No, I get it. I'm personally not for cancel culture. I think you need to ask certain questions. Obviously, if it's done in a way where it's racist or homophobic, obviously it's different. Cool. But there's ways to ask. I refer to myself as a person, as a black woman who is disabled. Some people, some people with disabilities, consider themselves a person with a disability. I mean, so I always say to people, just ask. I mean, you're not going to. I mean, someone's going to answer your question. I mean, it's better to be mindful of how you say. There's ways you can ask it, or you can say to somebody, how do you identify yourself? Are you a person of color? Are you a black woman? Are you a black male? How do you identify your disability? So I always approach it like, just ask me. I'm an open book. I don't mind. I mean, we have to break this barrier and stigma around it, because if you don't ask questions, we never know. I mean,
yeah, and there is a barrier, isn't there, around people asking it. And I asked a few of my audience. I had 3 or 4 sessions on diversity in my membership, and they were very poorly attended. And I asked why. I asked them why didn't you bother attending? Like, this is something we all need to do. And because not just for inclusion, because it's really important, but actually, you talk about this a lot, profitability. We need to do it for both reasons. And they say to me, oh, because I'll probably end up asking a question and be called out for asking that question. And that is a problem. And I really want people not to feel like that. But having felt like it myself, I do kind of get it. And sometimes when I write something, like if I'm writing, I really want to showcase Black-owned businesses, for instance, I don't know if I'm even allowed to say that sometimes. I'm like, am I allowed to do that? Am I allowed to say Black-owned? It's so difficult.
Of course, there's a lot of things around language, and I think the reason why people are scared is because there's such negative stereotype of it. I'm saying, and I'm saying, we're in 2023 where it is a cancel culture. You say the wrong thing and then you lose everything. But I think we need people like myself push back against it and say, ask us, because we need to both open dialogue. I mean, if I've lots of things I do on my pages, I put picture descriptions of what's going on, and I will say, a white woman is in the picture staring straight at the camera, because that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's just me. I mean, and I can't change my race. So as a black woman, that's what I am. I'm a black woman. If you are identifying me to your audience, I'm a black woman who is disabled. But I think we need to, it's about language and what we say, and people like myself have to be open to answer these questions. And once you start the dialogue around it, you'll actually find, obviously, there is overt racism and covert racism and stuff like that. But once you start,
I've seen covert racism questions.
Yeah, and once you start asking, and also not ask the question, it tends to be a bit more, having that bandwidth. But then also, again, on the profitability side of it, inclusive businesses are like 30% more profitable. So it's like a no-brainer. For me, it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I know. It's crazy, isn't it? And I've read so many statistics about, the pound, what they call the black pound, and what that
black pound, the purple pound, the grey pound, the pink pound. These are all pounds that are for different demographics, and the black pound outstrips all of them. The purple pound outstrips all of them. And as someone who works with the disability sector, I'm like, businesses in the UK alone are like £274 billion a year is lost because businesses do not cater for disabled clients, and that just like blows my mind.
It blows my mind too. Tell us, if you were going to give us, like, lots of people who are starting to go, look, we know we need to do better. I see this all the time. We know we need to do better. We know we need to be more inclusive and make things more accessible. If they were just starting out, and it seems like a huge task when you're just starting something like this, what are the first kind of few things that can be done to start the process?
Well, I talk a lot about client avatars, and I always say that you should have a disabled client avatar. You should have your ethnic avatar as well, and that's your audience. You know what I mean? So if you can, obviously as a small business owner, I appreciate you can't afford to take on staff all the time, but you can market your products in terms of like your imagery. You know what I mean? If you're creating products, have a black model, have a disabled model in it. If you're like you're doing workshops, it's inclusive. Can stuff be converted to Braille? Can you have a BSR instructor on the stage to sign language? Do you know what I'm saying? Are you targeting the deaf audience? Little D is for those with who impaired. Big D is for those who are completely impaired. You're saying, I mean, picture captions on your Instagram and stuff like that, and your Facebook. These are little things that you can do that aren't really expensive. You can go to Canva's Bank as well. If you go to Canva, that's for Black images. They'll pop up with lots of images of Black people, Shutterstock, and there's lots of new ad agents. These images, first photograph images you can go to, where they have lots of images of disabled people, Black people, Asian people. Yeah. Just be versatile on what you're doing, and once people start seeing that you're reflecting them, they're going to come in and buy from you and utilize your service. How it works.
It's the little things, isn't it? Like, and my audience is great because my audience pull me up on anything I do wrong anyway. So at the beginning in Instagram, I wasn't using captions very much. It seemed like a bit of a faff. I'd have to sit there and write the captions out. And then I had 2 deaf people that followed me get in touch with me and say, you don't understand what a difference it makes when you put captions on. I want to follow you, but you're making it impossible for me to follow you. And it changed everything. And I was like, God, yeah. Like, it's we see it as such a hassle, but it's such a tiny thing for us to do. Same with captions. Like, every training we do, no matter what program, we have captions on. It doesn't take much longer to do that. And it can really help. And not just for inclusion for deaf, but also for people that are neurodiverse. Sometimes they need to read things.
But also as well, I think I read a statistic recently. I think it's 70% of Gen Z use captions, so whether they're neurodiverse or not. So even kids now who are in their 20s, they actually have captions on. So even though it's playing live, they still have. It's just what they're grown up with. So you're missing out that whole generation. So even if not quite an inclusive point from someone who's disabled or whatever, a whole Gen Z is using captions anyway. They just take it as format. So if you want to reach that audience, you should be using captions because even my daughter, she's 23, she'll have the TV playing and the captions will be on at the same time.
Yeah, so you may as well do it. Like, it's not a difficult thing to do. And I think one of the other things that we worked out really quickly is thinking about accessibility at events, because there's lots of events that we used to put on that our disabled audience just couldn't do. It was just a nightmare for them. Like, even the last time we went somewhere and they said, yeah, it's completely accessible, and then on the day we got there and the lift was broken. And it's like, God, like, there's so many things like that you can do better on. And so now we only go to places and have our events in places that are not just, oh yes, we've thought about it as an afterthought, but actually accessibility is one of their big things, and it's one of the things that they think about. And I think that's really important. What else can we do when it comes to, we can do the easy things. We can show a different range of people in our marketing and that kind of thing. What about when it comes to speaking? So I had a situation last year where I was invited to speak. And then when I saw the lineup, there were 9 speakers, which is quite a lot. And all of them were white. And so I decided not to speak based on that, and said, I would rather you gave this opportunity to somebody else so that you can be inclusive. And actually, they didn't. They just got another white woman to speak. But hey, how do you think we should be, without tokenism, making sure that we have diversity on our stages?
This is a big one for me. I always say that if you haven't got a disabled person on your stage or a Black person, it's not inclusive. And unfortunately, a lot of charities you'll see, the token white males, organising the charity, and you see people there. So I think if you're creating a lineup for retreats or anything like that, you really should be hiring, or looking at somebody who is disabled or Black or Asian, or because there are people in that field that you're after. It's just show yourself alongside, and you have to. I think it kind of falls back to the profitability side of it. That if you bring somebody who's Black on board, not just as a tokenism, but you're bringing their audience.
Yeah.
So if you look at it from that perspective, that what I'm doing is, okay, yes, I'm being inclusive by having a Black person or an Asian person or a disabled person, but they're also, that person is also bringing their audience with them.
Yeah, so and I think that's so true. And one of the ways to do this, because people were saying to me, but I don't know anyone that does that who is Black. And so I think it's about, before needing any of these people, is to widen your network a bit, widen your audience, make sure you're not in an echo chamber online, and that you are following lots of different people and lots of different networks, because that opens up a lot more people to you. And I think sometimes we're in our own little echo chambers with the same people. And so, of course, that's going to be more difficult than when you're looking for somebody, but also ask. There are plenty of people that know other people.
Exactly. And I go to a lot of networking events. And you've got great things like the Black Business Network with FSB. I'm saying they're free to join. I'm saying you go along and meet there. Just like they have women networking events. They have multinational. So I just think it's just getting out there, just say in places like LinkedIn or even Facebook. Somebody in your it's kind of like 7 degrees of separation. Somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. I mean, or just ask them, or just put a shout out. I need, I'm doing a treat. I would like to have, somebody to talk about diversity who is maybe Asian, or somebody who's Black, or I maybe have somebody who's able to come and give their perspective on business. I'm sure somebody in your network will know somebody who can come along and do it.
And it's okay to ask that, isn't it? Because I think that's another thing. People are scared to say, I am specifically looking to showcase diversity on my stage, because then they think, is that tokenism? Like, am I just ticking a box, which no one wants to do?
We need allies. And if you don't tell us that you're looking for us, we don't know. We traditionally Black people and disabled, we don't get invited to networking events. We don't get, so if you start putting the call that say, look, we are looking for somebody, from this community, we're gonna, oh, okay, they're an ally. What can we do? And and also I think it's a two-way street. We learn from that community, and you learn from us. So, yeah. And that's kind of how I view things. I'm like, okay, if I'm going to a event, I'm learning from you, and you're hopefully learning from me what it's like from my perspective. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's really important to get other perspectives as well, because you don't just learn from it from a awareness point of view. You learn from it from a business point of view. And that's really, really useful, to know how you can be doing things in a different way to make your business make more money, be more profitable, get more revenue in. Because not, people say, oh, we have to do these things. I don't actually think it's about we have to do these things. You should be doing these things, not just for the human race in general, but you should be doing these things because it's going to help your business, right?
Yeah. So it's been proven over and over again that businesses that are fully inclusive are 70% more profitable. It also 25% of businesses who are fully inclusive said that the staff are better well-rounded, they're more happy, they're happier, they have a better work environment. There's so many pluses why you should do it. And I'm saying, but I appreciate if you're like, just starting up and there's no funds in the bank. You're just trying to make it to payday. It's a stretch, but you can start by just talking about it, or asking people to come and guest speak at your events, or just really start that conversation going. And you'll find that actually, you then become friends with that person, and it's kind of more of a collaboration.
And then that helps your network as well, because you get to know more people, and that's always a good thing. If you could change, like I'm talking about the online industry here, because that's the one that I'm in. In the online industry, if there was something that you keep banging your drum about over and over again, that you just wish people would change one thing, what is that thing?
I think for me, it's accessibility on so websites. I've reached out to places like Kartra and Kajabi, and trying to get them to change it to make it accessible, and they just got their head. So I think if you're an online space, your websites, your picture descriptions, just be mindful. I think things like 6%, people with disabilities especially will click off a website within 6 seconds. Just not accessible.
Wow.
And the average is 10 seconds. And that's simple things like speak, and there's a big thing coming out in 2025 with the US where they're actually making websites become more accessible. So if you're a web designer, if you're in that space, or you're working with you should be asking your web designer about how do I make my website accessible, and that could be teach speech to text. It could be dyslexia friendly. It could be ADHD friendly. I mean, there are all little things you can do, and I think we need to be pushing that. And so for me, it's accessibility online. There's just not enough support.
See, I learned stuff every day because I didn't even think about the website side of it. We've just got a rebrand. I haven't asked if it's accessible. I've kind of done stuff like I know the colours on certain colours that dyslexics find difficult, so I've made sure that's okay and things like that. But yeah, we need to be actually asking our brand designers. That's a really good point. Like, do you know what you need to do to make this accessible?
Exactly.
And it's just
very simple fixes, and if we demand, and it's kind of like if you start demanding more of your web designer, they're going to do it. And this like I say, especially with 2025 with the American system, it's going to move to the US, to the UK. So if you get onto it now and and get it sorted,
yeah. And then there's a ripple effect. And that's what we want, the ripple effect of it passing on and on and on. So tell us a bit about how you work with people. So if somebody's like thinking, okay, well, I really need help in this area because I haven't even started anything and I know I'm way behind, and they come to you, what kind of things do you help with as a consultant?
okay, so there's a couple of things. So I can do a online audit, so I can actually look at your materials, your marketing, and your website to see and give you some tips and recommendations on what to do to get it up thinking. Or we do, myself and my brother work together. We do in-person theatre-based workshops. We're actually coming to your workplace. We'll actually show you what it's like through interactive, tips and tasks, what it's like to be a disabled person, and just really how that manifests in your business and what you can do. We also look at how to stop gap you losing money. So how can you market to, how can you actually create a disabled client avatar and market to that person and get them buying from your business.
That's a really good way of doing things. I love the audit idea. I might take you up on that because we haven't had an audit like that. We try and think about it in everything that we do, but we haven't had an audit. But yeah, there are, in every business, I think there are gaps. There are things that people can use your help with, even if it's just a consultation to see, what can we start doing? I think it's a really, really good idea. I think we've seen that how things are moving, like things are moving quickly in this area. More and more is being done in this area. Are you really happy with how things have gone in the last few years? Or do you think there's still like way more work to do?
I think it's getting there. I think we've had some big hitters. So at the recent GAD event, so Amazon, Google, and Apple have now come on board, and that's really, really game changer. Google especially, so they are actually forefronting that any disabled business owner, any disabled businesses, also businesses that are friendly to disabled people, they go to the top of the search engine. And
Love
I think
that.
so that's going to really, really change a lot of businesses, how they're thinking. So if they want to get to the top of the search engine, they need to be disabled accessible.
That's really good. That's a really good idea because then it kind of forces people to do it.
And
their SEO to be at the top.
And Apple's doing the basics. So they just like launched a new program and they're doing a lot more accessibility for their apps and stuff like that to make it more accessible. And they're working with disabled groups. So I think it's not, and also obviously you've got stuff like Hermes now hiring more disabled people. There's a few more restaurants coming on board and hiring. So lots of businesses now starting to wake up that actually, you know what, there's a little bit of money there that we're not tapping into. How can we tap into it? So I think it's awakening. It's a lot more can be done, but I think a lot more businesses start to think, okay, we need to start tapping into this market.
Yeah, I love that. And I really like the way you put it to people because often we're not told about the profitability. And that's a driver for businesses. So it's going to be something that forces people to do the things they should be doing anyway because of profitability. And I really think that's a good way of going about it. I'm glad that you're talking about it. Thank you for coming on today and helping us. If people want to come and find you, we'll put it in the show notes. Where is the best place for them to come?
LinkedIn, so it's Hughes Elaine M on LinkedIn, or my website www.elainemh.com.
Perfect. Like I said, we'll write that in the show notes. Go and have a look. Please just do the smallest changes. Even if you're not ready to put in like huge changes or to completely redo your website, there are small things you can do on a day-to-day basis. Start off with one of the most basic ones. Start putting captions on your Instagram. I see hundreds of Instagram that don't do this. Start putting them on there. Start thinking about ways that you can show in your marketing materials that you are open to working with people in all sorts of walks of life, because that's going to help you and your business. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. I will be back next week for another episode of Making Money Online.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to Making Money Online with Lisa Johnson. If you'd like to get hold of my guide to launching, go to lisajohnson.com/launch and let's get you making money online.